Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for staying for our session this afternoon. ABRI has members across the whole range of battery types. Today I'm going to talk to you about our handheld battery program, but the reason for that is that you probably know that there's a very well-established program in place for lead-acid batteries, for car batteries. Our work in that area is more around safety and environmental compliance, industry capacity building really, whereas on the handheld battery side we're doing a lot of work to try and establish a national stewardship program. So yeah, don't think this is all we do, but this is what I'm going to focus on today. Just to summarise my main points before I get into it, we support stewardship in its broad, stewardship at end of life I should say, safety, environmental management, compliance and so on for all batteries. But from an environmental point of view, the recycling rate for handheld batteries is way too low, and I'll show you. We're working towards a national stewardship program, but we think we'll need regulations to support, to address concerns about free riders. Sorry, there's a bit of automatic timing built into some of my slides, which might take me by surprise. So we're a not-for-profit association. We were set up in 2008. We've got 30 members. So we're a little bit different to an industry-based group like Carmel's. We include governments. We've got 4 state government agencies as well as the WA local government authority and City of Sydney. We've got Planet Ark and Clean Up Australia. So we're a very unique stewardship organisation, I think. This is the metaphor I've started using a little bit. We know what our goal is, it's up the top there. We know how we're going to get there more or less. There's a few milestones along the way. It's not going to be easy, but fortunately others have been ahead of us and blazed a bit of a trail. So TV and computer industry being one, mobile phones and many others. And we're going to learn from them. So why are we interested in doing this? Well, around 400,000 handheld batteries go to landfill every year, around 14,000 tonnes, but we know that consumption is increasing. More and more battery-powered devices. It's only going to go up, especially with electric vehicles and home energy storage, for example. We're going to see a lot more batteries and a lot more handheld ones. We can recover non-renewable resources, remove toxic materials from landfill, and support recovery of organic materials from general waste. And we've heard a lot about AWTs at this conference and the recovery of food and other organics. So where do we sit internationally? I put together just a graph showing the European countries and a few of the American, Canadian provinces and states, and you can see little old Australia is right at the bottom there, at around 3% of batteries at end of life. So we do have a long way to go. I think it's been embarrassing really. When we look at our performance on things like packaging, we're doing pretty well globally. Sounds like we're doing pretty well on computers and TVs. We're doing very badly on handheld batteries. It's a question of economics, of course. The value that they recover from batteries, and they do recover a lot of value, cadmium, nickel, zinc, manganese, steel, cobalt, other materials, isn't quite the same as the cost of collecting, sorting, transporting, reprocessing, educating, marketing and so on. So there is a gate fee for handheld batteries, as those of you in councils who do actually pay for a service will know. There is a gate fee to cover that gap, and therein lies the problem with potential free riders in a national scheme. So we do believe that for handheld batteries, we do at the moment anyway need some sort of industry funding to make the program more widely available to consumers and more sustainable. So here's some of the things that I think we need to put in place, and I'll go through each of these individually. We need an infrastructure for collection, we need support from producers and councils, consumers on board, safety standards, very important, recycling facilities, and an appropriate regulatory framework. The collection infrastructure is growing organically, I guess you could say. You could say it probably started before this, but in terms of handheld batteries, when mobile muster started collecting not just the phones, but also the batteries, which back then were more hazardous. There were more NiCads and lead-based batteries, and they still collect them, obviously. 2003, councils in Perth started collecting through public offices, and that has expanded into a metropolitan-wide program. Obviously, there's still the household hazardous waste program over there that goes statewide, but they've got about 150 drop-offs in Perth. In terms of an individual company, Battery World started collecting in 2006, and that's funded by the franchisees and the company itself in all of their stores. Sustainability Victoria funds a program in Melbourne in retail stores called Battery Back, and ABRI's a partner in that. Very importantly, Aldi started collecting, the first and only supermarket so far to collect batteries in conjunction with Planet Ark, who are here today, and that's been very popular with consumers, and that's entirely funded by Aldi. City of Sydney started collecting in 2013, their multi-material collection with mobile phones and globes, and they're rolling that out into other sites. And of course, you've probably heard a little bit about the New South Wales EPA's Community Recycling Centres program, which is rolling out as well in New South Wales, and they're collecting handheld batteries as well. So this obviously isn't comprehensive, but we are seeing growth, even though it does have to be paid for by others at the moment. So in terms of how it is funded, some producers are funding collection. Aldi, they are a producer, they've got their own brand, they're funding the collection. Battery World, Mobile Muster, obviously by the members that you'll hear a bit about from Rose. State governments are very active in this area. WA was one of the leaders in the hazardous waste program. Victoria through Sustainability Victoria, and now the New South Wales EPA, who incidentally have been involved for quite a while trying to find solutions for batteries. And of course, local government, City of Sydney is just one of many councils that, apart from rolling out state government programs, many are also putting their hands in their own pockets, or their ratepayers' pockets. A lot of our members, or some of our members who are listed there, also provide a commercial service. So councils and businesses and retailers and others who want to run a collection can arrange a service through one of those providers, and they're all listed on our website. So where are we going now with collection? We promote existing services, and as people get to know more about us and our website, we do hear a lot more from people that want to recycle. We're a funding partner with Battery Back, and through that we're collecting data and building links with some of the key retailers. And at the moment we're looking at some pilot projects for particularly emergency lighting batteries and power tool batteries. And a lot of the older ones in both cases are NICAD, so we're keen to get them recycled before they end up in landfill. There's a very rapid changeover going on in both sectors to lithium, but in the meantime we want to recycle all of those NICADs, amongst the most hazardous of course. All batteries are recyclable. Batteries are sorted in Australia and exported for recycling. MRI's out in the exhibition area. They're one of the main operators in this area. They're exported to Korea, Spain, Singapore mainly. We're hoping that we will have a reprocessing centre in Australia, a facility in Australia. It's a bit of a chicken and egg. Once we get the collection up and we've got the volumes, I think definitely for lithium and potentially for alkaline, we should be able to recycle them in Australia. It's not a particularly complex process. Safety, batteries are potentially hazardous. Lead and lithium are dangerous goods. So we've developed a series of safety guidelines, I should say, not standards, that you can download from our website, targeting particular audiences, households, retailers, public places, aggregation points, and so on. We know consumers are engaged already to a certain extent. This is the Planet Ark data that shows that batteries were the second most queried item on the Recycling Near You website, at 110,000 queries in 2010 after computers. So we know that consumers are interested, but we also know that they are confused. And this is some data that we did with Mobile Muster last year. About 18% of consumers said that they were recycling their batteries, mainly through retail, some through councils. But the other 16% that I've just highlighted there, that's the consumers that say they're putting them in their curbside bin, thinking that they're going to get recycled. Producers, we've been talking a lot with producers over the last 12 to 18 months. The bottom line is that some of the key battery manufacturers for the single-use batteries don't want a voluntary scheme because they're worried about free riders. And that's because they've had a lot of experience with this in the US, where they have been trying to get a scheme up. They've now chosen to go state by state to develop regulations. So we've been following that very closely, and we're hoping to work with those companies on an appropriate regulatory framework. They are a priority for the government. Battery Implementation Working Group was set up with a lot of industry and government stakeholders. We've done a lot of work. The final report from that will be going to ministers in July, and we haven't seen what's going to be in that report, but based on feedback from industry so far, we think we are going to need some sort of regulatory backup, and we're starting to do a lot more work on that. So you all know about the Product Stewardship Act, I'm sure. TVs and computers are one of the first co-regulated products. We're looking at something, ideally a more flexible, lighter regulatory framework that is really about addressing free riders. Not being too prescriptive. I don't think we should build targets in straight away. I think, like the TV and computer sector, we need to learn about the volumes and what consumers are doing with batteries, how long are they being hoarded for, and so on. The other thing I should mention is I would like to do a lot more work with my members on the option of an all waste electrical and electronic type program. Not only do we need to coordinate the collection, ideally we'd have one regulatory framework. I think that's where we've got to head. It's more efficient for the processes, it's more convenient for consumers, and from a regulatory point of view, there should be benefits as well. So that's what we're doing. Our vision really is for a producer-funded and managed program. As I said, we're just on the bottom of that mountain path, but got a long way to go. But we're looking at all batteries, say less than around 3 kilos. Power tool batteries and the smaller backup batteries are probably at the upper end of the weight range. Funded by brand owners, so manufacturers or retailers that have their own brand. One PRO, ideally, but we would outsource all the operational activities, and that could potentially be co-collection as well. So on the collection side, in terms of our vision, it's really doing more of the same but better. Councils will have a critical role to play. Businesses generate a lot of waste batteries. Retailers are ideal for batteries because they're small and can be easily carried into a store. And the Audi program just shows how well that can work. And co-collection with other products, especially the smaller electronics like mobile phones and globes and plenty of other things over time. So in conclusion, we are looking at developing a national scheme. We're really at the very early stages. The next steps for us on this side are really about investigating and advocating the co-regulatory options. We will have input to the 2016 review of the TV and computer scheme, start to flag some of these issues. We're also going to start the pilot projects. The first one will be for power tool batteries with retailers in Queensland. But we want to look at plenty of other options as well. And I'd encourage any of you who are interested to get involved. We're always looking for more members. We need more members from local government and from industry. But we also have a newsletter, so you can just go onto the front page of our website and register for the monthly newsletter, which just goes out to anyone who's interested, and follow us on social media. So that's it from me. Sorry about all that automatic timing on my... I blame Auckland. There's some of my slides from Auckland where we had to stick to a certain timing. Thank you. Any questions? I should mention there's also a lot of information on our website on the lead-acid battery side and increasingly on the energy storage side. One of the other areas we do want to get a lot more actively involved in is the energy storage batteries. We're going to be seeing a lot more lithium batteries reaching end of life, and it's a very big issue potentially for councils. And industry's aware of it. We just need to get a program happening.